Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Tuesday the 5th of October. So what's in store today? Firstly, let's look at the risk elements that may come across. Well, we've already seen the Reserve Bank of Australia's statement come out and the cash rate left as expected, so no surprises there. Aside of that then, we've got really open to us at the moment is right through to this afternoon, the ISM Services PMI. That's the first number to come out later of any significance, and then we've got Lagarde speaking at 4 p.m. Due to speaking Frankfurt. That was handy. Not too sure what that's regarding, but whenever she speaks, there's the potential for volatility. So that's at 4. FOMC member speaking a bit later at 6:15. That'll be outside my normal day trading time frame, but may affect some of you. Okay, so that's today's risk in terms of news. There are some low-level numbers coming out, but I don't even bother with them because the effect on the markets is often so small that you wouldn't even notice. The euro then today, let's look through the technicals here. Yesterday we saw a decent shove up, and it looked like, well, we was going to see the euro push into a bit more. Eventually though, it put in this reversal bar there, shooting star into its weekly pivot there, still short of its monthly pivot, but we will see. But it's rolled over since. It's looking a little bit on the soft side now of what it's pulled a lower high in up here. I'd say soft side. It's found support into its daily S1 at this stage. Spot on support. I mean, you couldn't ask for any neater than that, could you? It was pretty close to the prior lows there. We're sitting, more importantly, we're sitting around this 1600 area, 11600. A really important area. If it needs to close the week off a bit stronger than this, a close below this to me looks like we could see some further downside, and maybe, well, we'll see these lows here from last week leading into this week retested. So at the moment, markets trying to put a turn on again. It was working a lot better yesterday, that's all I'd say, and with a lower high it's going to make it a little bit more difficult. It's a difficult one to trade for me today. It's already hit its daily pivot, its S1. Range wise, it's done a lot of range in the day already. It's done at least half of what it did yesterday, so a difficult one to be looking to trade. The pound's been a little bit easier. It's been bullish. Let's just sort of change it to daily. It's been sitting there bullish, and it's remaining okay at the moment. It's hanging in there, and if we start seeing these markets pushing up and more dollars selling, I like the look of the break of, I put this trend line on yesterday, and I like the look of the break of it. It's now above its monthly pivot, which is more of a bullish bias. It's above its weekly pivot there as well, so the weekly, the monthly, so it's got a bullish bias. So a break a bit further up, and if we come down the time frames a little bit more, it's a bit early for me to be jumping aboard on this, but it does look like it's putting in a bit of a bullish sort of start of the day at least. So I'm looking for the long side on the pound. Dollar yen. Dollar yen yesterday, bit of a funny old one. It was up and down like a yo-yo. There we go, up and down. I saw someone's analysis, and he said the market today went up and then came down and then went up, and that's probably pretty much what's happened here. Heading back, it's hit its monthly pivot there, and just underneath its daily pivots. To me, it's still very weak. I did my analysis yesterday looking at the sentiment, and the sentiment is very weak on the yen. Is still being sold effectively, so it's just waiting for the dollar to push up higher. The dollar's just been a bit of a weak one yesterday, certainly, and on top of that we saw the yen being bought as a safety, bit more on the safety side of things. The yen and the Swissy were both doing extremely well. Let's just switch the Swissy on for you for a moment. I don't trade the Swissy, but I do keep an eye on what's happening there, and the money was going into that Swissy as well. Okay, so that is the yen I was looking at. Aussie dollar. and then I switched to Swissy. Do apologise, but the money's running into the. So if we see much selling of the US dollar, just watch out for. See what happens with the yen. Right, Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar's just run into its monthly pivot here and having a bit of an effect into that level. There's a trend line across the highs there. I've drawn it on there. Support at the moment into its weekly pivot. It's back to its weekly pivot. It sold off overnight. Didn't really like things being untouched, and it's just come back to that weekly pivot. It's ticked that off the line for me, and looks like, well, we may get a bit of a reversal coming around here. We'll see if we can get a bit of support, and I say a reversal for this morning. Erring on the more bullish side, but it's a bit like the euro at the moment. It's already done quite a long, quite a big movement there. So relative to its normal days, I mean, yesterday, you see through here yesterday, that was the range, and it's done pretty much that range. So we'll see. As I said, I'm erring on the bullish side there, but I think it could be quite slow. Canadian dollar. So Canadian dollar bearish, engulfing here. Bar sitting at the top into its 50 on its 60 minutes. Just run up the time frames first, and it was doing pretty well yesterday. Solid looking day. It's rallied overnight there through the closure and overnight rallying through there. But as I said, looking down at the 60-minute time frame here, I think probably the safer movement would be a break down here. So a break of that trend line. Okay, so that's the Canadian dollar looking like it's got potential. It doesn't break the there's the daily pivot sitting there as well. If it doesn't break that sort of level, well, maybe just best left alone. Got to be a bit careful in the mornings. I'm always a bit skeptical in the mornings of the Canadian dollar moving off, but it does do some decent early moves and then sits and doodles for long periods. New Zealand dollar, just we got news later this week, and I was expecting it not to sell off quite as much as the Aussie, but it's gone with the Aussie overnight. I mean, most of these markets we've just seen a bit of dollar strength coming through. Let's just come out there. It's doing pretty well. Again, it's run into its monthly pivot there. Very similar sort of basis, but again, trying to hammer out a bottom here, so we could end up with a bit more of a bullish finish to this hour. I'm not quite. It won't be a bullish engulfing, but certainly putting a hammer in there. And again, I'm just thinking, have we got more upside here? Is the dollar going to roll back? Right, euro yen, just as I always. It's one of the currencies I trade quite a bit. Well, I think you just saw the outcome of that. The 60-minute, not really going too far. Yesterday, it got a good rally and just gave straight back in the next 4 hours, and that was that. And it's the correlation between the two currencies is just a little bit tight at the moment. So this is what you're going to get when that happens, when they get a bit too correlated. Well, nothing. So nothing to be done there for now. Right, let's switch on to gold. Morning, Steve. Gold. Gold coming off then its weekly pivot. It did manage to push up yesterday a bit further. I was scratching my head a little bit. I wanted different levels to be hit during the day. It found support earlier on. Into its weekly pivot, decent bounce into its monthly pivot. You could sort of bouncing from one to other, but selling at the moment, looking a little bit on the softer side, and I can't get into gold at the moment. Either way, I realise what it's doing. It's trying to put some sort of shove up there, but it's not really that convincing for me. And I'm looking at this bigger picture, and I'm just thinking I would rather be a seller of it in the bigger scale of things, and that opportunity might come. Okay, oil. So oil blasted yesterday. Come 1 o'clock candle. I was sitting here with a I had the highs on. Actually, I'll show you on 60-minute. Whoops, 60-minute. There we go. I'd drawn a line across the top there. I thought that looks quite nice, and it just went too early. The OPEC data decision came out at 1 o'clock there. Wasn't too sure what time it was going to come out and what was going to happen. I didn't know if we'd get a bit of a pop and a drop from the reaction, so I just left it alone. So that was one that got away. I got the one on Friday, the move up, but again it's consolidating, and I'm simply looking. There's potential for further upside, and we'll see what comes. I won't trade it before 2 o'clock. It's just the way. I'd just rather not trade it until the larger volumes come through in the market. If it drifts up before then, well, I'll redraw my trend line if it's possible. Otherwise, it's just stand aside. But would like to see it come down and catch its daily pivot. It didn't catch it yesterday. I would like to see it come down and catch that, and then break that. It just gives me a little bit more confidence and more upside. It's just a high probability of these being hit, the daily pivot being hit. Okay, before you ask. That's that. Let's go and have a look at these other markets then. Let's switch across here and let's have a look at, well, S&Ps. Got the S&Ps sitting there at the moment. 802. I'm just checking the cash markets are open. The S&Ps had a little pip down already this morning. Looking a bit on the soft. It still to me looks soft, and I just think that we could see more selling coming through. Not necessary today, but I just think that this correction hasn't finished yet. Nasdaq is just looking through there. Well, yesterday's really negative day, and often the tech stocks sort of lead things, and well, they're leading it to the downside at this stage. And Dow Jones again negative, not quite as sort of pushing the prior lows or anything, not as quite as negative as the Nasdaq, but all the same looking soft. So the FTSE this morning, well, opened for a little bit of a flurry, but overall the actual picture that was sitting there did look pretty bearish. It didn't go on and sort of trigger even more bearishness for me, but still looking pretty iffy. The DAX, well, again yesterday, a solid down day yesterday, and it sort of it looked like a decent gap and then a sell-off, and the CAC there also looking pretty weak there, not quite as weak though, but still weak. So all these European markets are sort of catching the same sort of price action as the US markets, and vice versa at different times, of course. Looking abroad further, looking to the Asia, and well, the Nikkei once again sold off quite strongly here, big gap down. I just don't have a lot of faith in it at the moment, and you see why. Just huge gaps down there, big correction there. Okay, this CSI not open, Chinese market's not open, it's bank holiday, so let's have a look at crypto and get a feel from the Bitcoin. And well, bullish engulfing candle yesterday, and things have to change. You have to change your thoughts on this. It's taken out the prior high, as I mentioned yesterday. Just looks like a little bit more bullish now, and Ethereum, Ripple, not necessarily following through, quite the same. A bit softer, both those markets. So there we are. But for traders of these sort of markets, I expect most of you are sort of long term. If you've bought it and you're just holding positions as opposed to day trading them. Although I do realise that some will day trade them. There's lots of volatility, lots of risk. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. I wish you a great day's trading, and I'll catch you in the morning. Bye for now.